Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am back to continue with ABC April 2026. That is a collaboration hosted by Margreth at 7 Plaza and Toni at Crafty by Toni. And I am working on the letter U. I'm continuing in the folio, journal, lap book. I don't know what you want to call it. I think it's turned into more of a lap book. That I started on a couple of days ago, and I am, for the letter U, I'm going to do unfold. Of course, you know, a folio or a lap book has lots of flippy flappy floppies, so we're going to continue to work on that. Just as a reminder, we've done the pockets on the front and on the back, and we have to finish those up at some point. And then we have done for the T, I did tip in and tuck spots. So we have a couple of little tuck spots here on the front, and then this is the tip in. It folds out, and then we have another little pocket here, and we put a little scrappy little notepad there. So that's what we done previously. And then this, I have my signature. I have it attached to a hidden spine, and I've just got it held in there right now with paper clips, just where I could like measure how much room I had in here to add other things. I haven't glued it down yet. I kind of want to wait. I want to make sure that everything fits right before I permanently put that signature in there. So I'm just going to leave it sitting right there for right now. So we're going to work on this side of the journal today. And I did a little bit of prep work, and I'll try to explain to you what I've done just where this video won't be super long. I still have this matted piece here that I haven't glued down. It's just held in by a paper clip because I'm going to tuck some flaps underneath it. The first thing that I did was I took, I have these file folders that I got at a thrift store forever ago, that I use occasionally on stuff. So I wanted to recreate a kind of pocket on the inside, and I'll show you what it is I'm trying to recreate. I'm trying to recreate this. This is an old vintage picture holder that you would have gotten from a photographer if you had for like professional pictures taken or whatever. And it unfolds like this and folds down. Now this is really, once you look at it, it's really upside down, but it has the matted picture on the inside. And what you're supposed to do, I won't be doing this, but what you're supposed to do is turn it around, and then it's got a little hole there for you to, it makes like a picture, like a stand. So you're supposed to tuck it in there, and then you're able to set your picture up. Hope you can see that. You're able to like set your picture up like that. That's not what I wanted to do with it, but I wanted to just to recreate this little flap thing here in this direction versus, you know, it's actually opens up. It's supposed to open up like that, but I like the look of this right here, so we're gonna do it this way. My flap will be a little bit different because I squared it off instead of making it triangular. I think that'll be okay unless I decide to change it later, but for right now I think it will work. So what I did was take this file folder, and I wanted to connect it underneath this little flap over here. I've already got my magnets in here for my closure that connects to this other side. So I wanted to connect, wrong thing. I wanted it to connect over here. So I have, I went ahead and did a little surgery on this. I wanted to connect underneath here just like that. But if I had put this entire thing underneath here like that, which I had to cut it down a little bit, it was too tall. If I had connected the whole thing, put the whole thing underneath here, you wouldn't have been able to open the little flap, and you wouldn't have had a flap long enough there. So what I did is I cut this flap a little bit here, and I added the extra up here to make the flap longer. And then I also cut this side of the flaps off right here, where this part right here will glue underneath here, but you also have it where it can still freely open. So that's the idea. And then I will, I'm going to go ahead and ink this before I glue it down, but then I will cover this with some pretty, probably some of the pretty digitals that come from Sweetpea's kits. So that's the idea behind that. So I wanted to do that. And then the next thing I wanted to do, I cut up another file folder. The other one I had that was green on both sides. I cut the front flap off of it, and I left one of, this was part of the middle spine, and I left one and then created another score. That way I would have this. I would have my flap that'll glue down underneath, and then I'll have a little spine there, and it'll give us a little bit of room underneath here to add more stuff. And basically it will glue underneath this little mat here, and it will fold down like this, and all of this will just be tucked away inside here, and you'll close it up, and you know, all the things. So the first thing I want to work on, I think, is the underneath. I'll probably end up doing more underneath here, but I've got to think about what else I'm doing, because I still have to do something here and then add to the little flippies over here. But for tonight, I think we're just going to work on the unfold, U for unfold. So that's what we're going to work on. So I think I want to work on this first. I've already cut it down to size, and of course it was too wide, you know, because I cut it. This was the original spine right here. I scored here and created a spine, and then this, it already had this groove right here, and I created another one because I needed it to be just a little bit shorter where it would fit inside here. And then I just left this little flap on here in case I want to do something with it. I didn't want to cut it off. I just folded it under instead of cutting it off. But I think I want to go ahead and get this in. But I'm trying to decide before I glue this mat down completely. I probably will just glue it in the middle. That way it'll get glued down and quit flopping around everywhere. Just put just a little bit of glue here in the middle where it'll quit moving around. And then that way I'll have the sides open. I'm going to pull this toward me where I can make sure I get it centered. Now I am going to shift it just a little bit over toward the middle here, just because I know I've got to put a flap underneath over here, and I want to allow room for that. And then of course try to get it even top to bottom. I want to make sure I'm not like putting that over the middle spine there. So kind of like that right there. And then of course that leaves that open for me to work around the edges if I need to. I know I won't be putting anything on this side, so it'll either be top, bottom, or side there is what we'll do. But I'm going to go ahead and put some glue right here, and I'm going to glue this underneath this mat and get this flap down and get it out of the way. That way we can cover and work on the top there. See where I need to put the glue. Put it right around. So I'm going to tuck this underneath here. Gotta make sure I'm not gluing down the spine part, or the part that's going to fold over. Probably should have inked it. I would have been able to see it a little bit better. Alright, and I actually glued it to the journal itself instead of to the bottom of that flap. So that still leaves that kind of open in case I wanted to do anything else there. Alright, so we got that flap in. And that's what that looks like. So we have a little spine there, so we have a little bit more room on the inside there. And I did measure ahead of time. I kind of put everything together and measured to see how much room I would have in between this signature and underneath there. Because when I put in the signature, I shifted it a little bit to the left, or to the front of the journal, I guess you could say. That way they're left a little bit more spine room there. So there's a little bit less room on this side than there is on this side, just where it could have more room underneath here. a lot of thinking ahead you have to do with this stuff. But I'm gonna ink this and then figure out what papers I want to cover it with, and I will be right back. Alright, I figured out what I'm gonna do. I ordered a couple of books from Marissa from Sweetpea Curiosities. I got the Ladies Book of Remembrance Junk Journal Ephemera, and then the Time Touched Textiles Junk Journal Ephemera. And there's a couple of pages in here that might work, and items, but there's more in this book that might work to go along with the digital that she already has. Since this is something I'm going to cut and lay down, this is thinner paper than what I normally print on, but I'm just going to cut it and lay it down. It's not going to be like a flippy floppy or anything, so it is good. This is really good paper though, and it's really soft to the touch, and it's thicker than regular coffee. It's more like a premium copy paper, not just your cheap everyday copy paper. So it is really good paper, and it's matte. It is a matte finish, so it is gorgeous. So these books are well worth the money. I wanted a couple of books because I tend to print a lot. So I wanted something that I could just cut out of and use, either ephemera or pages or whatever in a journal, without always having to use my printer, because I do print a lot. I go through a lot of ink and a lot of paper. So I thought these would be a good idea, and her books are gorgeous. I already have a couple of her Christmas books, so I knew these would be good quality. And I did a flip through over on Instagram of these, just a quick flip through, but I'll just flip through this one real quick where you can just kind of see that the colors and textures and stuff in here was going to go well with this other kit that I'm using. And you can get these kits, like the Ladies Book of Remembrance Junk Journal, and then the Time Touch Textiles. You can get these in digital form over on her Etsy. So either way, but if you don't have a printer, or just like me, want something other than just printing all the time and still be able to use her digitals, then this is a good choice. So these are on Amazon, so if you want to go buy them, go look them up. It's under Sweetpea Curiosities on Amazon, and she has lots of different books to choose from. But I think I'm going to choose, just looking through here real quickly, definitely going to choose this page because, of course, the hands that just kind of goes with it. And I think I'm going to put that on the front of this, and then possibly the rest of this on the back. Just kind of flip it around the whole, just be able to use the whole page. I may have to, this is a little bit longer than this page, so I may have to fill in a little bit either here or at the top of here or something, but we'll figure that out in just a second. I want to go ahead and get the page pulled out of here and then go from there. And I'm just going to use my craft knife to cut down, because I don't trust myself to tear, because I will definitely tear the page. But you have plenty of room here between the picture and the spine, honestly. But I'm just going to cut very, very lightly through here and get a page out. There we go. That was perfect. All right, and then there's a couple of more pages that would definitely work. Like, these colors just go really well with what I'm already doing. So I love lots to work with in that book. And the two books I wanted to get 2 books. I wanted to get 2 that was kind of like could be used across several different things. So we'll start with this, and I'm going to cover this side because that kind of fits perfectly right there on that. So all right, y'all, sorry about that. I got interrupted. My hubby come to visit me for a minute, so I had to pause, and I did a little bit of laying some papers down while I was talking to him, so I apologize. But I got the top finished. I think I did that before I paused, and then so I put down the bottom, and then I had this pretty washi tape that matches the color, so I just filled in that gap there with washi tape and then just kind of cut it around. And then I also took the other side of that paper and put it on the back, so that looks pretty good. And then on the inside, I wanted to cover up all of these lines. I love the lines, but for a different project, not for this one. So I'm going to cover all them up, and I've covered this. I don't have to cover this part because this is going to be glued up on the inside, so that doesn't have to be covered. I have covered the middle And I went ahead and cut the pieces for the top and the bottom. That way y'all wouldn't have to be bored with that. So I got those ready to go down. So I'll finish gluing those down, and then we'll work on getting it glued into the journal. As a reminder, it's going to go right here, and then whenever it closes up, it will close up on top of that signature. It'll close up just like this and be tucked on the inside. Alright, so I'm going to glue this down right here, and I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac just because, well, I may need to use my art glitter glue because I do have the magnets there. I did have to put masking tape over the magnets just because they kept, that washi tape just wasn't cutting the mustard. So, alright, so let's do the art glitter glue because it's going to hold quicker and faster than the Fabri-Tac. All right. Work that around the magnets. All right, we got that glued in, and that looks good. There we go. Looks good. I probably should have put my policy closure in before I put this down, but I'll either be putting a pocket or something, or covering with paper or something on the inside of those, so it should be okay. All right, we got that glued in. We got this glued in, and I think that's all we're going to do for tonight. I know it's not a lot, but it's getting kind of late. I'm doing this on Thursday evening, so it's getting kind of late. I got to work tomorrow, so I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but I got a good start on it. So just as a reminder, we're working in, let me fix this the way it's supposed to be. We're working in this folio for ABC April, and this was for the letter U, and I did unfold. So this unfolds this way, and then we have this part here that unfolds as well. So that's kind of what we did for tonight. I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch my video. I will continue this again on for the letter V. I'm gonna try to do something to do with vellum, but I'm not real sure yet. I gotta figure that out. But I will catch y'all in the next video. If you wouldn't mind, like, comment, subscribe, share, all the things. I would certainly appreciate it. And I will catch y'all next time. Thanks, y'all.